Electricast.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you.
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What? What was that?
That Playing with the Boys song where they're all naked and sweaty.
Oh, no, that wasn't sweat. That was oil. That was intentional. Sweating was the rest of the movie.
They were sweating so much. All right, let's save this for the actual discussion. What up, and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I am excited to introduce my brother,
Top Gun Wesley.
For, well, spoiler, a movie from 1986 available for a limited time on Netflix, Top Gun.
Wait, that's the song you're choosing? It's so weird. That's the wrong song.
What song would you choose?
Danger Zone plays no less than 3 times. Possibly 4 times. And Berlin's Take My Breath Away. It's like they only licensed those 2 songs in whatever you're singing.
Oh, and don't forget the guitar solo. That used that at least 2 or 3 times too.
Well, yeah. Official score. All the rest have horrible connotations in my mind because they just won't stop singing poorly in the movie. Why are they singing so much? And why are they singing so badly? And why did Tony Scott allow it to happen?
Are you talking specifically about Loving Feeling?
Oh, God. And they know it and they start it a cappella.
But when you're belting, what does they call it? Pressing? Billie Eilish has like a specific word for it. Because, you know, she's always like very soft. But when you like project, you just don't have as much control.
Yeah, but this is a massive budget production. It's a controlled environment. You have someone jump on the piano like Anthony Edwards did to mask the fact that nobody is singing it well. It's like Buster Scruggs. It's time to sing and some dude sits down doodly-doodly-doo and hops on the piano to accompany you and cues you up. That's what needed to happen because, man, it's so
painful.
Awkward.
It's authentico. When you're in a bar and you do spontaneous karaoke, that's what it sounds like, homie.
Right. For all my time in the bars, I've undoubtedly found that to be true. You know, Anthony Edwards didn't know the day that he was supposed to play piano and sing Great Balls of Fire. He didn't know how to play piano. He had to fake it and he had to sing it.
You're talking when Goose plays Great Balls of Fire for Meg Ryan?
Yeah, he didn't know how to do it or play the piano. He didn't even know. He wasn't even prepared for it.
Well, he fakes it really great.
I think they went through the whole song.
They're boys being boys, Wes. This is what this entire movie is about.
Definitely.
I know that that's kind of a passé thing to say, boys being boys, because what does girls being girls mean? But in a 1986 context, this is how you hit on a woman. This is how you make love to a woman. This is how you play volleyball, and this is how you sing karaoke.
Top Gun is the most awkward movie of the 1980s. You know, it's so weird that they would be so precise as Navy pilots and that they would be piloting these $30 million precision aircrafts, and they'd be all about skill and technical perfection. And yet they were like all doofy and awkward. Like, you know how NASCAR drivers, they're like all about technical skill and stuff and incremental increases and maneuvering and stuff. And they get out of the car and they're like, woohoo, dang boy.
Yeah.
It's like this movie should have been called Yeehaw or Top Wiener.
Wiener.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was just a perpetual dick measuring contest?
Yeah. Just everything about it was awkward. The making love to a woman part, like I was cringing at the amount of like silhouetted tongue. It was just
I noticed this too. I was like, whoa, they do not make love scenes like this anymore.
Ew.
It was really graphic.
And awkward. I mean, no nudity or anything, but it was just like, yeah. And during the bar scene, you know, because Kelly Ray is white. And when I looked over at her when they started singing, and like the whole bar joins in, and she's like, sit down or whatever, and they're like, yay, and he's like, I won, I did it, and he sat down. I looked over her and she has the biggest romantic comedy grin on her face, and I was like, oh my God. And she was like, I would have been charmed.
And you noted, right, that they brought in the guy who actually could sing at the very end to kind of take us out of the musical number.
I mean, take it easy. We had black guys as ringers throughout the whole movie. It's like, okay, we got to get someone who can sing a little bit better. Okay, we got to get someone to play his Rio or whatever after he loses Goose and stuff. And so Tom Cruise can go off and like throttle him or whatever.
Yeah, when he gets all pissed, he drops his gear, and then he's like, what does he say to him? I will fire when I'm ready.
Goddamn good and ready. And then walks off all like 5'7" Tom Cruise.
You mean larger than life, Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
He is larger than life in this movie.
Yeah, and Biddy on the set.
Right. Well, they got an appropriately sized love interest and a comically sized Rio, but she even says it. But she says it herself. When I met you, you were larger than life. And it's true. Are
you talking about his Rio being the comically oversized Tim Robbins, who's like 6'4" and wouldn't have fit in the cockpit of the Tomcat?
Wait, Tim Robbins?
Well, I guess Anthony Edwards, who played Goose, was his, and he's taller than Tom Cruise for sure, because everyone is taller than Tom Cruise. But then when Merlin reemerges and he's like, you'll get your Rio when you get to the ship on his very special mission at the end.
Yeah.
Then Tim Robbins, practically speaking, probably wouldn't have fit in the jet.
Probably not. I mean, he's like a good, 6'5".
And you said appropriately sized love interest. Were you kidding?
Well, in all of the silhouette shots and stuff there are definite times where they're standing next to each other and she's about his height or shorter.
Man, so it worked.
Was it optical illusion?
Kelly McGillis is a full 5'10". And when she put the coins in the jukebox at the end for their reunion, yeah, she was standing in a trench that they dug.
No.
Yeah, and whenever they were standing together, he was wearing these special platform cowboy boots.
No.
And she was barefoot. Because Paramount was super bugged by the height disparity.
It really worked. They did. I mean, I was like, oh yeah, they found a proportional love interest for Tom Cruise. She does look a little big on the bike. When they're macking on the bike, she looks like she's like a head taller than him. But I just thought it was, their positioning on the bike, which is hot. That's hot and very 80s.
I guess. Well, didn't that happen in Cool as Ice, starring Vanilla Ice? I mean, what are the hot motorcycle macking sessions? It was Cool as Ice and Purple Rain.
If anybody has seen those movies, then yeah, maybe they'd be, it was like that. I mean, I'm just saying in general, as a convention, motorcycles were like hot and dangerous and like cool in the 80s.
Is that what Top Gun is? Hot, dangerous, and cool? It's definitely what it was going for. I am dangerous. Ice. Man.
Maverick? What, did your parents not like you?
And she knew.
Oh, she was playing him.
She was playing all dumb and stuff. And then, But I mean, he didn't have all that much to be embarrassed. He won the song contest or whatever and got to sit with her. It's not like they did anything. She was in the bar with all the aviators. What's going to happen?
Well, you saw that there were other kind of floozy type, like...
Floozy.
There were definitely women who were there to meet like officers. And it was clear that she wasn't one of those. But you could see her. She goes, oh, you're a pilot? And she's like feigning this like interest and that she's impressed. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially because he's so self-consumed that like he wouldn't even notice that she's playing him. If you can't tell, I like really like read into and analyzed the pickup scene. But did you notice how weird and intimidating it almost was when he enters the women's restroom and then is like all imposing and like blocking her in? Like he's like leaning all aggressively on the wall. And
that's what constitutes a ladies' man, right?
Yeah.
Where he can corner you in the bathroom and like test the integrity of the counter for sex purposes.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's an 80s, and I'm not excusing it, but it's like an 80s machismo thing.
He wanted to fly below her hard deck.
Wow. You made that up on your own.
So how was this for opening scenes for you? Because there's a whole lot of Michael Bay style, lots of smoke and golden hour sunlight with jets taking off and stuff. But they open on a pretty heavy sequence before they even get to the Top Gun school. How did this feel as the first scene goes?
Yeah, very epic. Hand signals and stuff. I think it's a good tone setter.
And this scene where the dude freaks out a little bit and has to be guided in, it sets up the themes for the entire movie.
He was number one.
He's a gifted pilot. He's a maverick, but he breaks the rules and he goes after cougars.
Oh, you're talking about it's because of Maverick's unconventionalness that he freaks out the pilot who was number one. What was his name?
Cougar. You missed my he goes after cougars joke. We're setting up Maverick as a dude who goes after cougars.
Oh, because Kelly McGillis is older than him?
Yeah.
Okay, that was pretty...
Goes after cougar. I stand
subtle.
behind it.
Very subtle. But I'm talking about something that's real. So he freaks out Cougar, and then Cougar, who was the number one pilot, drops out. And then Maverick and Goose can take his place. So it sets up a couple of things. The freak out and the stress that a pilot has to endure, especially when they've got
he goes buggo.
something to lose. Yeah. All like the Abyss style.
Yep.
But it also sets up how, Maverick lucks into things. Like, he's not your conventional first choice, and he doesn't even get into Top Gun school by being the best. He gets in on a fluke.
Doesn't even win Top Gun.
He's not Top Gun. Val Kilmer is very clearly Top Gun. But he does have, because of his performance, I guess, now he has like unfettered access to Top Gun. And he says he wants to be a teacher or an instructor. Like, what?
And the dude is like incredulous. He's like, God help us.
And by the dude, you mean Strickland?
Strickland. Yeah. It's like he's got all the slacker. He's like, you're a slacker, Maverick. And he's like got slacker students who go on to do great things. Actually, I don't know that Marty necessarily went on to do great things.
Didn't he ever have hair?
Right? That's the joke.
I've been obsessed with how good Tom Cruise looks, how well he's aged. But after spending 2 hours watching Top Gun from 1986 and then watching the trailer for Top Gun Maverick, I can finally see the difference. I can finally see the age catching up with him.
And even that is 2 years old. But this one, he was dorkily young. Like there was a number of factors. It was the tighty-whities that went up to his belly button. It was playing volleyball in jeans. Kelly's like all into the oiled up volleyball, and she's still like, why is he playing in jeans?
Because he had a hot date afterward.
I guess, but I mean, who like gets all sweaty and stuff and just throws on, like, it's all hot in the sun and they're all glistening, and then he puts on his t-shirt and a bomber jacket and drives to her house and he's like asked to take a shower. Who does that? And then they talk and he tells them about his dad, and then they don't bone, and he's like, he leaves to take a shower, and she's like, where the hell are you going?
Yeah, why? I thought when he said that he was going to go take a shower, I thought he was taking the liberty of taking it there, but then
right now that they've been through so much, now I'm gonna take a shower whether you let me or not.
Yeah, then he bounces. Is he like, was he triggered by something? I felt like he got sensitive about something that they were talking about, and he like fled because he was scared of intimacy or whatever. But really, it might have also been a game. Like, he toys with her so much.
Maybe because he's got his Napoleon complex, but also he had just spent the whole day playing gay volleyball and he wasn't feeling it anymore.
You say gay volleyball, but I'm imagining that romantic comedy grin was plastered on Kelly's face during the volleyball scene.
Well, it was a lot of laughing, especially when Touchdown or whatever starts flexing and stuff.
Which is such a great moment. Touchdown.
I guess. Was that his name? I have no idea. Hollywood? Game Day.
One of those. But it's a very subtle flex. He's not like bodybuilder flexing. He's like modern day flexing. You know what I mean? Like he's not...
He's just like pumped and feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. He's not doing a Gold's Gym. He's like doing like a one person fist bump or something.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
And so look, I remember Top Gun being more awkward in the flying and less awkward on the ground. It's difficult, especially in the 80s, to film some of this aerial footage. And they spent, you could talk about the crazy amounts of money they spent on fuel and the exorbitant fees that the U.S. government charged for the Navy planes and for the aircraft use of the aircraft carrier and stuff. But looking back on it, especially you see the new Top Gun Maverick trailer and you're like, wow, this footage, the flying footage looks amazing. But it actually was better than I remember. There are some obvious cheats. Did you know that they were only allowed to fire 2 missiles for the entirety of production, like legitimate dummy head missiles?
Really? Because they fire at least 2 dozen, like in
right.
the
No,
narrative.
well, there's at least 4 shots of missiles fired. They just used as many camera angles as possible to cheat as much.
Oh, they recycled those missile fires.
Yeah, and there were some really beautiful flying shots though, where the MiGs are like spiraling in the air. It's like this crazy elaborate dance or whatever. But everything on the ground to me felt awkward, Tom Cruise included. The love scene, I was cringing. The volleyball, and so I guess my point was everyone was like, Top Gun is like the gayest movie ever. And remember that gay volleyball scene? But even before that, they get super close and in each other's face, but not in like the confrontational, like we're about to fight kind of way now.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of talk about like boners and turning each other on.
There's so many boners, and the coffee guy, he wants some butts, and
He does want butts. I think that means he wants butts in like detention centers or something.
I guess. But everyone was like, oh yeah, it's so homoerotic or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, but not really though. Like it's because it's Top Gun or whatever. And it's a glimpse of dudes who like hang out in the locker room when they're not flying and stuff. But it did feel sort of awkward and like sexual tension-y throughout. And like Iceman gives him the teeth click thing and...
Yeah, that's iconic too. Would you say that Top Gun is any more homoerotic than Jackass?
No, but they embrace it. And maybe Top Gun embraces it too, because they did talk a lot about carnal knowledge of a woman this time, and they're all making gay jokes like you do in the 80s or whatever. But it read distinctly kind of intentional to me this time. Whereas Jackass, they're like laughing the whole time. This one was more serious, if you can call Top Gun serious.
That's a bit of a stretch. But like Jackass is rife with nut shots, but like full frontal dong.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And you love Jackass.
Yeah, because kind of that's how dudes are. Like nut shots are a thing. Like pre-YouTube.
Why?
YouTube probably like cut its teeth on nut shots. I'm not sure. I shot the goose in the nuts with an airsoft gun.
I'm just saying, we don't need to sexualize every human contact or even further sexualize like boner and carnal knowledge talk. It's all about fronting.
Yeah. So a lot of posturing and stuff. But, when Goose dies, then it gets sad and it's very real, I guess. And Iceman like legitimately apologizes and they take a moment out of their rivalry. They're not really rivals. They're just competition. And, the opposite of Iceman's cool, collected, on the nose flying is contrary to Pete's Maverick ways.
Yeah, I think they seem like they have more philosophical differences than anything. But do you know what a Rio is?
Yeah, a Rio is a rear-informed officer or something.
Rear-informed? Wow. Well, see, I did some research here. I looked up 2 definitions because I wanted to be hip to the tech talk. And MiG means M and G in Russian. The M and the G standing for the initials of the people who created the airplane. And Rio is Radio Intercept Officer. Although Rios are now WSOs or something to that effect. Rios are no longer used, and we're going to get an entirely new name for the backseat pilot in Top Gun Maverick.
So did you look up why the tower calls him Ghost Rider when that is not his designation?
No, tell me.
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. That's the quote from the movie. But Ghost Rider is the name of the squadron that Maverick is a part of.
Oh, Oh.
And the actual Ghost Riders actually appear in the film. But so that is the call sign for the squadron, and his individual call sign is Maverick. My question is, he doubly requests the flyby, both of which are denied in this movie, and then he gets busted down by Strickland, who wants to bust his butt multiple times before, like 4 tower flybys. So the question is, number one, why would you want to do a flyby, and why would a flyby ever be approved?
I'd have to speculate, but I mean, it's their way of saying hello.
Is that like their victory lap or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Like why it would ever be approved, it seems really unsafe, so I can't imagine that it would ever be approved.
But they actually did it for the movie. And Michael Ironside was in the tower. One of the times they buzzed the tower for filming. And he said the plane, the Tomcat, was so close he could see inside the cockpit. And it was one of the most impressive things he'd ever seen.
Whoa, really?
You don't even know, dude. Those jets, I mean, maybe you've been to air shows or something once in your life. But I went to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in like 2000 or something. And I was like, I don't want to go to the speed. I don't care. And then you come out onto the track and you're up against the fence and you hear the cars and they're going around. And then they come close to you and it was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Like it shook my bones. I felt it in my teeth when those dozens of cars went by. It was incredible.
And they're going, what, 200 miles per hour?
I'm not sure, but it's thunderous in a way that was astounding to me.
Well, these jets, I mean, if I heard correctly, they talk about 800 miles per hour. Like, oh, he's approaching blah, 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 like 800 miles per hour. I'm like, what?
Yeah, enough to rock your coffee, man.
What's the speed of sound?
Speed of sound is like 760 miles per hour, something a little bit over that. But I guess it's also dependent on the weather conditions. But I didn't see any sonic booms. You know, you could see the kind of burst of air around the aircraft. I didn't see those in this movie, but the Tomcats are capable of that. But even the cars, obviously, they weren't going anywhere near that speed. But you can check out what I'm talking about in Top Gun 2, aka Days of Thunder, which was just Top Gun in cars, starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Days of Thunder, does it just not? Who directed Days of Thunder?
Also Tony Scott.
Why doesn't Days of Thunder have the same classic or cult status as Top Gun?
Because it was like Speed 2 Cruise Control. It's like we're on a bus going fast. Now we're on a cruise ship, probably going faster, but you can't tell. So I mean,
Plays Kelly
I don't
McGillis with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Then the cars are fast and it's shot really cool. Tony Scott kind of became the preeminent action-y kind of director for the 80s, late 80s and early 90s. So it was fun. Days of Thunder was a good movie. It's just, it all comes down to how hick they are when they climb out of the car or out of the plane.
That pilot or that driver swagger. I think with Days of Thunder, you don't get all the dress uniform stuff.
Well, you definitely get those stupid uniforms with the Tide logos and stuff. The jumpsuits.
Exactly. It's more Costco and Tide and Jujubee sponsorship as opposed to like dress whites.
Jujubes, like the candy?
Yeah, I don't know. That was probably a bad example, but the dress whites seem to add a certain amount of gravity to what they're doing.
Oh, women love that shit.
They do?
Yeah. And then the gay dudes too. Isn't like the prime gay costume like the sailor outfit?
Sexy sailor, yeah, I guess. I'm just reading now that the real Top Gun school imposes a $5 fine to any staff member who quotes the film.
Yeah. I mean, everybody talks about it. The Navy used this movie and continues to, I'm sure, as a recruitment tool. Their marketing videos for the time had a very Danger Zone-esque kind of guitar riff. And apparently for the big theaters, they actually positioned Navy recruitment stations outside the theater. So dudes would come out all pumped up and be like, I want to fly planes. I think their membership or their enrollment jumped like 500%.
Oh, yeah, this is a great recruiting tool.
And as such, the Navy kind of kept real control. Cougar, as opposed to landing on his flight, on the deck safely and washing out and going home to his wife and kids, was supposed to die in a fiery wreck trying to land the plane. And Navy was like, no, we don't want like the planes to crash and burn and stuff. So it doesn't look good for the people we want to sign up. Goose also was supposed to die differently, but they were like, no, it's going to be a malfunction. That's not his fault or whatever. Did you know the crew member, like a stunt pilot, actually died in production of this movie?
No, that's awful.
I guess it was in the flat spin. He was like 56 or whatever, and crashed. They never found him or the plane over the water.
How does a production survive something like that?
I don't know, because it's war out there.
That's really sad.
Not that Tom Cruise was deterred, who like inverted helicopters and did all kinds of crazy junk in the Mission Impossibles.
The turd?
The turd?
You say, oh, deterred.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is the turd.
I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but when Maverick is a turd in this movie? When Goose dies and he finally musters up the teary-eyed, trembly-lipped courage to confront Meg Ryan or to go to her.
Yeah.
And she like throws her arms around him in true Meg Ryan fashion and he doesn't return the hug. It's like, hug her back, you turd.
He was dealing with his own grief. But that's so Maverick, right? Unable to, one, completely self-consumed. Right? It's about his grief, not hers. She's even oddly consoling him. It's so bizarre. And two, like, to not be able to express his emotion fully. Like, that's all in character for Maverick.
Yeah.
And even, I'm not saying it's not turd behavior. I'm just saying. So what do you expect from Top Gun Maverick?
I'm hoping for better choreographed and directed and more accessible and realistic flight sequences. Like, it's like, I wonder if they're going to play volleyball again. Like, is he going to have like eyes for this lady the whole time or whatever? Nobody cares. You want to see the jets. That's what I'm expecting and hoping for, because Top Gun is a aerial combat movie and cool with the jets and got the Berlin side of it, but I'm talking about the Kenny Loggins Danger Zone side of it. They're like, they're like, graduate Top Gun and now it's the real world, son. This ain't no country club. This ain't no disco. This is LA. And they're like flying around and stuff. The ending, it was tacked on like True Lies, where they're like, congratulations, guys, got a real world situation. It's a crisis. You graduated, but you got to go out and fly. It's the real thing now, right?
The discussion for True Lies available now at orwhatevermovies.com.
Right? And he's like, talk to me, Goose. What's Goose supposed to say to him? What Goose is supposed to say is like, hey, Mav, like Merlin's screaming at him in the back seat. Come on, what are you doing, Mav? That's what Goose is going to say. But whatever, he checks in spiritually in the sky and they have a cool fight and the MiGs are cool and there's the sun glinting off the cockpit canopies and stuff. And it's like, damn, shooting stuff. And he's like, I'm hitting. And despite the fact that it's called Top Gun, the Americans never once fire their guns.
Yeah, only in like simulation, but it's the MiGs otherwise that actually fire their tracer gun bullet things. That's the technical term. That's what I'm expecting. I'm sure there will be drama and intrigue and such because it shows it in the trailer, but let's fly and be cool stuff. And by all accounts, Tom Cruise, we should talk about that movie. Like when it comes out, we should review it. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to how the technology can create an even more immersive, experience. I'm not expecting like soaring over California, but like it's probably, I think the tech is going to make the flight and aerial stunt work really cool. So I'm stoked about that. But really, I just hope that it delivers on its own storyline. It's not like just a 2-hour fan service film, like trading off of all the Top Gun, beloved stuff, but that it's used and incorporated like appropriately. I really hope that it stands on its own. I've heard rumors of like performances of a lifetime or like Tom Cruise's performance of a lifetime, which I hope it's just not setting me up for disappointment. With 36 years of anticipation, plus the 2 years that we've been in limbo about this movie coming out, like I'm just really hoping it pays off.
Yeah, performance of a lifetime because we've waited a lifetime to see it.
Certified fresh, coming out in theaters. So obviously recording this discussion in advance of the theatrical release of Top Gun Maverick. That's our discussion on Top Gun from 1986.
Right, we got to give our reviews.
And your rating, please.
A cooler movie than I remembered. Technically speaking, way more awkward than I remembered. It's an all right movie for sure. I actually had fun watching Top Gun, but kind of awkward.
Really, and in such a way that it actually took it down from the totally, because it's kind of a totally movie.
Top Gun has never been my super favorite movie, which it was for a lot of kids my age. I don't know. I was much more about Back to the Future and Terminator 2 and stuff. And Batman.
Well, that's fair. Top Gun was a obvious good for me, a joy to rewatch, especially in anticipation of Top Gun Maverick, and fun to talk about. So we hope you enjoyed this discussion. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get podcasts. Please send us a message, 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com, on Instagram and Twitter @or whatever movies. Wes, any other ways that people can like or support us?
No.
All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Sarah Talk Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into a bit of a different type of show. I'm Sarah B and I'm your host. You can find me on my IG, which is Aussie_Sarah_LA. I talk about amazing, relevant conversations and topics and what functions that goes on in this magical, wonderful, wonderful city of the City of Angels. My IG, which is Aussie_Sarah_LA.
Electricast. Electricast.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your host for the Candle Power Hour.